So if you are going to plot points, what you need to do is you need to convert your page, and I think I've already converted them into a grid. So if you go to Graph and you select Show Grid, it's going to put your set of axes on your sketch. Okay, and in order to plot points, all you need to do is go to Graph, and one of the options here is Plot Points. Don't try to line it up. Okay, don't try to line it up over like 5, 0 if that's the point that you want. If you want a point, just enter this Plot Points command and then enter the point directly by yourselves. And so let's say I enter the point 1, 1. And so this already has it. I'm going to use plot. It put that point on my graph, and it'll be locked in place there. Let's say I take another point, 2, -2. So here's 2. I can hit tab to get to the next. And once I have -2, I can hit enter, and it'll plot that point as well. And then let's say the third point that I want is -3, -4. So just enter -3 for the x coordinate, -4 for the y coordinate, hit enter, and I'm done. I'm going to hide these 2 points that it used to create my grid. So here are the 3 points that I just plotted. And if I hit Control L, it creates a triangle between all of those. Right, and so let's say I labeled these points A, B, and C. And what if I wanted to find the slope between points A and C? All you have to do to find the slope is create a line or a line segment, highlight that, and then under measure, you can choose slope right here, and it'll give you the slope of that line or the segment. If you need to find the equation of a line for that, same thing, highlight the line, under measure, choose equation. Oops, looks like you have to create a line for it. So if I create a line through points A and C, construct line. Once I have that line highlighted, I can measure it, and now it gives me an equation. The equation is y equals 1.25x minus 0.25. And so if you create a line from it, you can get the equation of that line. The other thing that you're going to be asked to do on here is to translate or transform these points using the 3 transformations. Okay? All of those transformations are included in Sketchpad. So if I wanted to translate the points, let's say we go 2 units up and 3 units to the left. If I wanted to translate these, what I would do is I would highlight my points, and I'm just going to, in this case, if it asks you to take the entire triangle, I'd highlight all the vertices and all the sides of my triangle, and I'm going to go to this transform tool, and I'm going to choose exactly what we call it, translate. So when you translate this, you are going to translate it in this rectangular vector, gives you horizontal and vertical transformations. So my fixed distance horizontally, based on this, which one is my horizontal distance? 3, right? And am I going in the positive or negative direction? Negative. So I'm going to call this -3, and you can already see the ghosted image or whatever the image is formed is just a translation of 3 to the left. And then down here in my vertical transformation, I'm going to translate it how many units? In the positive or negative direction? Up is 2. So there it is. I enter 2 right here, hit translate, and that creates my new triangle. And if you look at this, you can see our prime labeling, to indicate that these were the image that's based on this pre-image, the one that started. Hey, what if I asked you to reflect it? Okay, what if we reflect it across the x-axis? Okay. If you wanted to do that, we take, again, our original figure, the whole triangle, select all the points and all of the vertices. And what we need to do is we need to select the axis we want it to reflect across. So the way that you select it is you double click that axis. So is the x-axis vertical or horizontal? This horizontal axis, right? If I double click that, oops, notice what happened. Did you see the pulsing marks there? That means that that's now the selected axis. And so if we highlight these now because they came deselected, and we go up to transform, and now we choose reflect, it now reflected it across the piece that I highlighted. Okay. If what we wanted to do is reflect across the y-axis, what we would need to do is highlight the y-axis. Again, notice I double-clicked it, and it had the pulsing marks to indicate that's what we're using as our reference. Highlight the point of my triangle and the sides. And now when I go to transform and I choose reflect, notice it's reflecting it here on the y-axis. Now it folds it that way. Okay, and then the final type of transformation is going to be the rotation. And so what if I ask you to rotate 90 degrees? If I ask you to rotate 90 degrees, you first need to identify what you're rotating it about. So our rotations occur about what? When we did the rotation, we're rotating it at the origin, right? So all the rotations are going to occur at the origin. So what we need to do is we need to double click the origin, and you need to set that as your point. And so now we've got that. Again, it pulses just like the axis. And when we have that selected, we can now go back to our original triangle, highlight all the elements of it. And when we hit transform and rotate, we can choose what the rotation is. So here is 90 degrees. Again, you can kind of watch this image as that occurs. If I change it to 180 degrees, it changes that as well. If I wanted to rotate it even further, it would continue to show right there. So 90 degrees would be this one, and that would be my new points.